Hello, East Brunswick. This is Mayor Cohen. I wanted to talk a little bit today about roads, and I don't know about the rest of you, but I've been riding around East Brunswick over the summer, and you can't help but notice all of the detour signs and the trucks and work that's being done. So I think it's an appropriate time to address some of the many questions that I get into the office regarding road work and how that's compiled and the order in which we attend to all of our different roads. Roadways, as you know, are critically important for us in terms of transportation, and East Brunswick certainly sitting at the center of the state and at the intersection of so many major roads has made East Brunswick kind of what it is. Historically, the Turnpike extension brought people out here in the 1950s, and Route 18 has always been that corridor from New Brunswick to the shores. But frankly, even before that, historically, East Brunswick was an important crossroad for roads. Old Bridge Turnpike historically was a major route that people took from New Brunswick to the shore by stagecoach. We've had roadways that date back well before the 1800s and certainly throughout the 1800s. So roads are just a part of life, and we need to attend to them, and the longer we don't, they fall into disrepair. Road work in general is the purview and the responsibility of two different departments in the township. It either is the Department of Public Works or the Planning, Construction, and Engineering Department, and I'm going to explain the difference. When there's minor road work that needs to be done, whether they be potholes or major cracks or areas where there's large segments of the road that need to simply be patched, that's areas that are attended to by our Department of Public Works. And we've invested over the last couple of years significantly in providing the machinery, the personnel, and the technology that they need in order to make sure that they can get to those roads and do it in a way that saves taxpayers money, because if we didn't do that, we would otherwise have to contract out that work, and it would be significantly more expensive. There's about 180 miles of township roads that we're responsible here in East Brunswick, and that falls on the shoulders of those people in the Department of Public Works. If you have areas that have not been attended to or may have changed recently, maybe after a really bad winter, or there were accidents, or there was weather conditions that significantly changed the road, we don't have eyes on all 180 miles of road. We're pretty good at knowing what's going on, but we're going to rely on you to also help us. And so if you have any areas that need to be attended to, please call the Department of Public Works, or you could go onto the township website, go to the section for Department of Public Works, and leave your message there. Anything information that you're providing, try to be as accurate as you possibly can so we could find those areas that you're referring to, whether it's mile markers or something that can help us figure out exactly where you're talking about. And just to know, it's going to be handled in the order of importance, not always or not necessarily in the order in which they got a complaint. We're going to try to handle the worst areas first, which is why we've gotten complaints in the past from minor things like little cracks in side roads or cul-de-sacs with grass coming out. If it's not hindering cars moving, if it's not causing a safety concern, those areas will never reach the level of importance that some of the other areas have. And when we've taken care of all of those, then we'll be able to get to minor problems. I don't want to inhibit people from calling, but keep in mind that we're going to try to get to the worst areas first. Of course, when you've gotten to the point where you've exhausted the Department of Public Works and the roads are really in just that bad a shape, that's when it gets sent over to the Planning, Engineering, and Construction Department to work on repaving significant areas, significant roads where the damage just really wouldn't be able to be repaired by small patches, but it needs a full repaving project. We rank all of the roads in town in the planning department, and that list constantly changes. Again, bad weather, a bad winter, sometimes an area that might have been ranked at the top of the list just now has to be bypassed because something just got worse significantly in a short period of time. No different really than your home. What we do is we look at those areas and we judge that based on many factors. Is it a main arterial road? That's always going to have precedence over a side road or a cul-de-sac. Is it near a school or a house of worship where there's massive number of people that are crossing and it's a safety issue? Is it an area where we're already working on other projects and therefore we want to continue with a project? Is it an area that we may have been doing certain sections and we're doing a little bit at a time? Well, if that's the case, then we're going to continue on finishing that particular section. So there are many, many factors that go into determining which order of roads that we do. And that work is always something that we pay for through bonding, and that could whether short-term or long-term depending upon interest rates, but we do a capital road pavement management project every year. And we've traditionally, since taking office, I've developed a process where we look at all of those roads and then try to come up with a price tag, but we've been spending roughly $2 to $4 million per year on our pavement management program. Previous to taking office, it was about $1 million a year, and we had to significantly improve the investment because we were falling behind with the number of roads that needed to be attended to. Additionally, we try as much as possible to get grant funding to cover some of the roads that would ordinarily fall to our taxpayers. That's been enormously successful for us over the last 4 years, and I have to thank all of our representatives who are working on our behalf at the state level to try to get that funding. As an example, we got $500,000 from the Transportation Trust Fund in the first term of office. By the next year, we had $500,000 that went, and that was dedicated to Dunham's Corner Road. The following year, we had $500,000 that was given to us from the state to do roofs. Last year, as many of you recall, we had Transportation Trust Fund money, combination of the county and PSE&G work to get all of Old Stage Road done. Transportation Trust Fund grant came in this year, and that was for doing Revo, which we just completed, so hopefully you've had a chance to drive on those roads. Next year, we've been approved already for a Transportation Trust Fund grant, $500,000 to do Fern, and we've applied for the following year, which would be 2023, to do Whitehall. So fortunately, we've been getting these grants and they've been helping us to defray the cost of doing these major roads that needed to be repaired in town. We also got this past year $1.2 million as a freight grant, totally separate grant from the state, to redo Edgeboro Road. Again, that's a township road. If we didn't get the $1.2 million, we would be paying for that ourselves out of our tax dollars. So it's critically important that we keep trying to get as much money to do some of this work and, again, save taxpayers from having to bear the burden of that cost themselves. We also probably have noted a lot of PSE&G work being done around town. And that was a project that was not new. That was actually introduced to the township and the township council about 2 years ago as a project to try to increase the service to all of the residents. It's a project going around the state, but they knew that the work in East Brunswick would take about 2 years roughly to get done. Always depends upon weather and a lot of other factors. But the PSE&G work is critically important to be done, and so sometimes it may be confusing when you're stopped or detoured who's actually doing the work. But in the process of doing that, they dig up big trenches, they replace lines, and then they backfill all of that work. Please don't be disappointed if they don't fix it immediately. What they'll typically do is put a short-term top coat over that trench, but wait for about 3 to 6 months for it to settle. If they repaired that road entirely without waiting for it to settle, it was be destined to break down and need to be repaired again. And that, of course, would fall on our shoulders. So this is the process that they go through. And they have a remediation plan to repair roads, meaning that their goal is to replace roads to at or better than the condition in which they found it. So if they come out and tell us after we've completely repaired a whole road like they did last year on Dunham's Corner, well then when they fix it, they've got to put it back to the pristine road that it was when they found it. But if your road has lots of potholes and cracks, their goal is going to be to make it better, but they're not going to come in and completely repave that road. And so the township is keeping track of some of those things, and they may, based on the condition of your road, move you up and put you on our pavement plan and management program for the upcoming years. Keep in mind also there's about 20 to 22 county roads that transect and intersect East Brunswick. And there's a lot of commitment on the part of the county over the last couple of years to repair those roads. Those with some of the repairs you may have seen in the last couple of years on Riders and on Old Bridge Turnpike and Main Street. Those are area Summerhill. So there are many of these county roads, and we've gotten our county partners to come in and help fix some of these roads for our residents as well. And then finally, we can't ignore the state. There's about 12 miles of state roads that transect East Brunswick as well. Obviously Route 18, but of course all of the side roads and overpasses and turnarounds are also part of the state highway system. In the last couple of years, we've had the state come out and repair many of those. The entire Route 18 project is something that's still being worked on by the state, and that is going, frankly, as slow as molasses. But our hopes is that they'll eventually get to replacing, widening, and repaving large portions of Route 18 like they did down in Old Bridge and south of here. We need that up here. A little bit of the slowdown that is getting right-of-ways for some of the property holders on Route 18 in order to expand the road. And in the process of doing it, it's going to be a lot of drainage repairs. As most of you know, with some of these big flash storms that we've gotten in the last couple of years, these roads flood. And the drainage could be 60, 70, 80s, almost 100 years old. That all needs to be repaired as part of the project, and that would be the goal. So I know I'm a little rushed and I probably covered a lot of ground for you, but the goal here, and has always been on the part of the township, is to try to make sure that we maintain these roads in a way that is safe for motorists, bicyclists alike. There's a lot of work being done on extending and providing bike lanes and bike paths. We want to do that so people can get out on their bike and enjoy all of the sites, parks that are all here in East Brunswick. And we're just going to have to deal with roads on a regular basis to make sure that we keep them updated and safe. Maybe someday we'll all live in a Jetsons world where we have flying cars and we don't need to worry about roads, and roads go the way of, I don't know, payphones and buggy straps, but we're not there right now. And until we are, we're going to continue to make significant investments in the roadways so that we can keep all of the people here and traveling through East Brunswick safe.